Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust Television, and it's time for us to take a look at other issues on the program. The run-up to the 2023 general elections has proved to be one of a kind. For the first time since the return of our democracy, the youth have jumped to the forefront of the mission to take back Nigeria from corrupt, incompetent and visionless leaders at all levels. This was demonstrated during the INEC continuous voter registration exercise. Now, the number of fresh registrants during the youth rush was 10.5 million. Completed registration stood at 12.3 million. It was further broken down to male 6,074 million, female 6.22 million, persons living with disability 87,083, and youths 8.8 million. Now, this brings the total number of registered voters in Nigeria to 96.2 million. However, experience has shown that more people register than collect their PVCs. INEC has lamented that there were over 20 million unclaimed voters' cards in its offices nationwide. That number is more than enough to elect a president going by previous electoral figures. Of what use is the register for PVC without collecting it? How can, as electorates, exercise their franchise with the PVCs? What level of sensitization is required for citizens to understand the power they possess in influence to the political atmosphere? Plenty questions yet unanswered. Now, we are joined in the studio by the Program Officer, Transition Monitoring Group, Suleiman Mande. He's also a Program Associate with Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. We also have Ambassador Chubuzo Okereke. He's the founder, Political Equity Movement Nigeria. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so Ambassador Chubuzo, let me start with you. We talked about having there's this degree of awareness when it comes to the political sphere, when it comes to the youth now, because previously, in previous elections, we've always said that the youth, there's a voter apathy on part of the youth mostly. When they come on social media, they make a lot of noise, but at the end of the day, they're not registered voters and they don't go to vote. They just make a lot of noise, and that's that. But we're seeing a shift now. How impactful will this be going into this general election?
Yeah, thank you. I think it will be very, very impactful. One, if you look at it, we are now an information age. People have suddenly realized that the political process, they are responsible, and the politicians eventually are responsible for policy formulation, decision-making that affect virtually everybody, whether you are in your cozy office, you know, whether you are the market woman, whether you are a beggar on the street. The decisions these people make are capable of endangering your life or improving your life. So definitely you realize that the PVC is a very powerful tool, and then being actively involved is critical to electing the kind of leaders that can improve, you know, your life. So unfortunately, we don't have electronic voting system. So we are merely speculating. We don't have exit polls to say, these are a number of women that are voting. Even the beavers is not able to tell us that. Only the registration can tell us. But when you go to the vote, we can't say this is the number of youths that have voted, and this is their age bracket. This is the number of women. And these gaps are the reason politicians take these voting blocks for granted, because we speculate about it. We are not able to empirically say this youth made a difference. So in 2015, people, because of social media and visibility of young people, there's a youth brought this government to power, but there is no empirical figure, you know, attached to that. And that is what I see we should be able to do, so that people can know where their votes are coming, and then there could be messaging that is targeted at those people. But, you know, in a nutshell, you can say that young people are ready. They have shown visibly that they want to make a difference. You can see them organizing on their own across the country with their money. I mean, these are things we see in the United States of America, where people use their money to do rallies for political, you know, parties. From what we know before now, parties and candidates pay for virtually everything. Pay for your T-shirt, pay for bringing you to rally venue, and even pay you for coming to, attend the rally. So we are experiencing something that could bring revolution in our political process, and then throw up leaders who will understand public office for service and not for personal economy.
Okay. Now, well, let me throw this at Suleiman this time around. Would you say there is enough sensitization out there for people to actually know how powerful their PVCs are? And would you say that this time around it's going to be quite different?
Well, to begin with, I would like to take it from what my co-guest talked about earlier. We live in the 21st century, and this is the century of knowledge and information. Everybody knows that. And you cannot separate governance and the use of technology in aiding governments to make decisions that will adequately impact on the lives of the citizens. But of course, when it comes to sensitization and looking at the figures, we see that most of the people who vote during elections live in the rural areas, you understand? And these are people that are not well educated when it comes to issues of elections, how and who to vote. That's really critical. So when it comes to sensitization, I think I cannot say that we are not doing anything. The Transition Monitoring Group and other civil society coalitions are really working hard to ensure that voters are adequately educated when it comes to elections. But we have to do more. The civil society organizations, media organizations, the journalists, there is a great deal of work ahead of us, looking at the current realities in the country and how some desperate politicians are looking for ways to manipulate the 2023 general elections.
All right, well, okay, so speaking about sensitization and the rest of it, after this continuous voter registration and even the previous exercises and the rest of it, there's been reports of a large number of unclaimed PVCs sitting in INEC offices and the rest of it. How far have we gone in actually still talking about sensitization, actually letting people know that it's not enough for you to just go and register, but you need to actually collect the voter's card?
Well, of course, it boils down to the level of trust and confidence built in the people by the government and the institutions put in place to ensure that elections are conducted credibly, fairly, transparent and accountable way. Let's remember that we are living in a democracy, and the things that we look at in a democratic elections are these issues around transparency, fairness, justice, accountability. So when it comes to issues around that, I think these are the factors that needs to be looked into critically before any other issues come up. So the institutions and structures that are put in place to ensure that elections are conducted in a credible and transparent manner should really do more in ensuring that citizens are adequately sensitized when it comes to who and how to vote. And the civil society organization, like I said before, are doing their own part when it comes to that, in collaboration with other government institutions as well. So it's really a great deal of work ahead of us.
All right, so Ambassador Chibozo, let me come to you now. We just talked about unclaimed PVCs, and we talked about free, fair and credible elections. Actually, we talked about this morning. The president at the United Nations General Assembly was saying that that is the legacy that he wants to leave. Now, with this high number of unclaimed PVCs that we have, is there a possibility, do you see, that these unclaimed PVCs could be used to actually subvert the electoral process?
Well, let me just quickly add to what he shared. You have to be clear and state that it is the failure of democratic institutions responsible for this process that is leading to what you have. Beyond, you know, other peripheral issues that, you know, border on the people. If you look at, we don't have political parties in Nigeria with membership. That is why you could see a party conduct direct primaries and the candidate will emerge with 47,000 votes. That candidate goes to general election and scores 2,007. You begin to ask yourself, where is the 47,000 members of his party who voted for him during the primary? So there's a deliberate attempt to subvert the system. If the parties do their job, you won't have 20 million PVCs uncollected. I mean, the most important currency of a political party are the voters. And the critical tool that defines a voter is the PVC. So why will a party who wants to win an election not be interested in getting people to collect their PVC? Tell me which of the political party you see that is organizing for people to collect their PVC. Does CSOs have budget in the national budget or in the state budget? They don't have. The people who are in government are these parties and they make budget, they control budget. Why are they not interested in the people collecting PVC? INEC itself is one of the few bodies in Nigeria that has office across the local governments of the federation. Go to some of those offices today, they've been taken over by grasses because they only function during election. It doesn't work that way. And that goes to question of the president. How do you intend to deliver credible election as your legacy? It's not by signing law, it's by operationalizing the law you have signed and deploying resources, holding people accountable to do their job. So for me, the 20 million PVs, of course, will make a whole lot of difference. I mean, presidents score 15 million, 12 million. Generally, we've not gotten more than 28 to 30 million votes. Then look at 20 million votes that are not there. Now, you ask the issue of when people have died, how does INEC remove them from the voter register? When somebody have relocated from, you know, so you see, the process has challenges. INEC cannot authoritatively tell anybody today that they are able to dictate those who have died between 2015 and 2022. Because if you have died, what are you doing in the register? Who is going to, you know, do that for you? So you can see that is a very big gap. So when we say we have 96 million, how many, with the high rate of death rate in the country, how many of them are no longer alive? And what is the process of even knowing those people and cleaning them, you know, away from the register? So I think that delivering the voter's card is one of the easiest things that INEC can do. We are in a technology era. You have the complete biodata of people who have registered. You're able to give them notification on their phones. You're able to collaborate with CSOs to organize a PVC collection, you know, day or awareness kind of in localities. If you are able to paste voters register in every polling unit for people to check and correct their names, you are able to organize PVC collection day on the across these 178,000 polling units. And on that day, especially, people will come out to collect their PVC. And that's why I asked about president delivering resources. These things will cost money. INEC is an agent of the federal government, in quotes. And they wouldn't want to say things that are against the government. They would rather work on the things they have mandates and focus on it. But money is needed to organize to the grassroots for people to get their PVCs.
Okay, now before we move to Suleiman, don't you think if we get political parties to organize dates for voters to collect their PVCs, is that not going to kind of sabotage the electoral process in some way?
No. Why is it? No, you see, it is their job. They apart from seeking for office and controlling government, political education, political mobilization, political enlightenment is the mandate of political parties, mandate of CSOs. that you created awareness for people to collect their PVC is even an advantage to you. Because if you go to China, for instance, you have in the Communist Party Department of Organization, they take the responsibility of mobilizing people to do certain civic responsibilities. The failure of political parties in Nigeria is that they don't even know their job. What they focus on is how to organize and win elections, and run government that have not delivered anything to Nigerians. And that's the problem. Because the more educated people are, if you make somebody collect his PVC, the likelihood that he will change his mind to vote for you is there. So why are you not doing it? Why are you not interested in helping, this process? So, and that is because the parties are not owned by the people. They've been hijacked by capitalist, philanthropic politicians who see, this is the truth, because if you are in Nigeria, you will never find any day in the whole election cycle, any party will come and say, this person is an asset. Let us reach out to him to join our party. No, it's only if you're able to bring money, then you become a member. It's not done that way. Political parties go out harvesting young people, elderly people, women who have capacity, competence, knowledge to come and help build the party. The National Organizing Secretary office that we have, that's why we also need to do a lot of political education around party management and democracy. Because the National Organizing Secretary is not just to serve form during an election. You are supposed to head the recruitment arm of the political parties. So the failure of this is what is, because the parties are in every ward. They have ward chairman, local government chairman. If they lead the drive for PVC, we are going to have even more than 96 million. And greater percentage will not only collect, but will come out to vote.
Okay,
right.
Suleiman,
Suleiman, let me get your views. Let me get your views on this. He actually touched on a number of issues, but one thing I would like us to zero on right now is the youth participation in itself in politics, not just about voting now. We always talk about having an old guard. These people have been there for so long. We need to get rid of these guys. You understand? And we need more youth into the system. Are we doing enough when it comes to encouraging youth to participate actively in politics? I mean, joining political parties and running for office?
Well, not at all. Because looking at the figures, we can say that there are less than 2% of young people involved in governance at the moment in Nigeria. And this is quite discouraging for young people. And looking at the current global reality, it is when you involve young people, energetic, idealistic young people, that you can be able to achieve any goal that you set for yourself as an individual, as an organization, or as a country as a whole. So the Nigerian youth are quite discouraged when it comes to political involvement or involvement in governance, because, like you said, the old guys refuses to leave, and not only that, they refuse to carry along young people. So this is quite discouraging. It is not that these people don't have the ideas or the knowledge; they do. But it is, I don't know, maybe they're posing a threat to these guys that they feel if we carry them along, they're going to take away our powers. And this is not the case. I have interacted with many young people across board. What they need is not even the power, but the platform so that they can grow and learn going forward. Because, like it or not, these are the leaders of tomorrow. So when they are not involved at the moment, I think we are doing ourselves a great deal of harm in the future. So we need to, the politicians, the institutions must involve young people in their in the aspect of their political decisions, in the aspect of governance, and all spheres of national progress and development.
Well, one issue that when you ask, young people about their lack of participation in governance, a lot of them tell you that the process has been sabotaged. It's difficult to penetrate the Nigerian political sphere if you are not wealthy, if you do not have a godfather or somebody to push you through. Do you think this is also a barrier to the participation of young people in politics?
Of course it is, because in politics, like in everything in life, you need resources. And one of the resources that you need is monetary, financial resources, right? Even if you have the time, the energy, but you don't have the resources, the financial resources, you can't go far. And young people don't have that aspect of resource. They don't have that financial resources. The resources are being siphoned, they've been monopolized by, like you said, the old guys, you understand? And they refuse to give it a loose. Like what we've said, to involve young people, to carry them along. So they don't have the necessary resources that they need in order to carry out any political activity. But of course, experience is one aspect that young people are seeking, looking for. It doesn't have to necessarily be financial support. Carry us along, carry them along, even if it means giving them experience, so that going forward, they will know how to get their own resources in order to stand for political positions and to get involved in key decisions when it comes to issues of governance.
Right, so Ambassador Chibozo, let's just to piggyback on that. Apart from having a situation whereby the older politicians carry the youth along and things like that, is there any other way that the political institution as it is right now can be able to give youth an opportunity, a chance to actually do this? Because right now as it is, if you don't have money, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. If you don't have anybody to back you, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Is there no other way around it?
Of course, there are several ways. And we have to look at examples from other countries, Kenya, Namibia, and some other countries around the world. You see, the offices for elective are very few. And what other countries have done, for instance, in Namibia, you cannot pass any youth-oriented law without sending it to the Youth Council. And the Youth Council is very organized. So they perform oversight on legislation that border on young people and send it back to Parliament. You also have the National Youth Parliament. We have it in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
We have the National Youth Council in Nigeria with almost 4 presidents. We have National Youth Parliament that is just unknown and supposed to be across all the states of the Federation. What is worse is, in my year 2 in the university, my humanities lecturer told me a story that countries around Africa, they were our neighbor, they were complaining that why did God give Nigeria so much resources, and they didn't have as much as we do. And God responded to them and said, wait until you see the kind of people I will put there. Achina Achabe, enunciated on this and said the problem with Nigeria is leadership. Tell me why our National Youth Parliament election cannot be a national activity where every young people can aspire to go. Absolutely. They can't go to National Assembly. They can't even know when youth parliamentarians are selected. People are just written to and inaugurated. It doesn't make sense. The National Youth Council, you have 4 presidents. It doesn't make sense. So all the opportunities we have for young people to explore leadership are being politicized and taken away, and that is the problem. So in other crimes, for instance, quota system is even adopted. You see, with the majoritarian system we are practicing here, which is first past the post, winner, simple majority, and winner takes it all. It's not the way democracy can work in a plural society like Nigeria. What you need is proportional representation. where it's not everybody that must be elected to parliament.
Absolutely.
In other climes, you can even say this percentage of young people should be selected to be in parliament. So they may not have voting rights, but they participate in debate and all that. And before you know it, they seek, for election. So we need to restructure our political system.
All right.
That is the way forward.
Total restructuring of political system. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been an interesting discussion. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, and we'll have to end it here. So thank you very much for coming on the show this morning, and we appreciate your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's where we're going to wrap it up on a Daybreak this morning. We had an amazing time discussing all the issues right here on Trust TV. Do make it a date with us tomorrow, same time. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
And I'm Zainab Bala. See you tomorrow.